Hi, this is Crystal the Herbalist, and this is video 2 of, I don't know, 10 or 11 videos that I'm going to do about, I'm calling this series The Field of Herbs. And it's just information on how to gather and collect and store and what kind of herbal combinations you want to put together, things like that. It's important to know how to identify plants and especially how to gather them, because there's certain parts of plants that need to be gathered at certain times. So we're just going to kind of go through part of it today, and I'll probably finish up the rest of it tomorrow. So the ones that I'm going to go through today are aromatics, like peppermint or spearmint. This plant needs to be gathered after the flower buds are formed, but but before the flower opens. It's important to do it during that time because the volatile oils are lost if you don't do it that way. Barks. Barks you gather in spring or autumn, and generally you want to use the younger barks because they're easier to extract. Buds, you gather them when they're nicely formed, but before the flower expands. Bulbs. Now, bulbs you'll gather when the leaves of the plant die. The next one would be berries. Usually we know when to gather berries, but of course we want to gather them when they're ripe but not mushy. Elderberries, you don't want to pick green ones. Hawthorn berries, you want to pick when they're almost ready to shatter, as they so to speak. Juniper berries and bayberries, you pick when just ripening, but don't pick the green ones. So then there's excrescences. I've never heard of that word before, so I'm learning something new as we go along here. That is, an example of that is a nut gall or an oak gall. So that you'll gather when the leaves are mature, and you see a picture of what they look like. Flowers and petals. Now you want to gather when about to open from the bud. Any lengthy delay will result in loss of essential oils. So large flowers, when the petal, they should be removed just before drying. Fruit, gather when succulent and ripe, except for Cuba berries. You want to do them just before they're ripe. Gums and resins, like camphor. Now these come to the surface of the barks and are easier to collect in the cool of the day. And sometimes you'll want to even be able to tap those. Leaves, now this is probably the biggest section here. You want to gather as soon as they're fully matured, before the flowering or after the maturation of fruit. It's important not to totally strip the plant when gathering leaves because you don't want to damage it. So you take a few leaves from this area, you take a few leaves from that area, but you want to get an ample amount without robbing the bush or the tree of all of its leaves. Now the large leaves appearing before the stalk appears are usually more juicy and valuable than those extend later from the stalk, as the former have the full nourishment of the root, but these often lose their value and die as the stalk begins to rise. So we have annuals. You gather when they're about to flower or in flower. Aromatic annuals, you gather after the flower buds are formed. Biennials, you gather the leaves of the second year of growth only before the stalk begins to shoot. The first year they just don't have enough medicinal value. Perennials, you gather those before the flowering, especially if the fibers are become woody, so you want to be careful of that. Leaves with stalks or stems attached should be separated as soon as possible, and all other leaves should be close to the root because leaves should be shaken and clean and not washed, and it may be wiped, which is important. I didn't know that either, is not to wash them. Whole herbs like lobelia, catnip, peppermint, you gather those when the heads are formed for flowering but not yet opened. If used fresh, cut only the tops. Annuals you cut 3 to 4 inches above the ground, and perennials you cut the side branches 2/3 down the stalk. We'll see you in the next video. Good health to you.